BXB. It's in the game!
Yo, Joel here from BXB Games, and today I'll be doing a quick video review of Dead Alliance Multiplayer Edition on Xbox One by Maximum Games. Dead Alliance, a first-person shooter that sees you face up against other players in small arenas populated with hordes of the undead. First up, let me get this straight off my chest. This game is honestly one of the poorest games that I have played in recent memory. The game's underpinnings are simple. Players battle either individually or as teams in common modes such as King of the Hill, Capture the Flag, or straight up deathmatch. Each arena, however, is populated with hordes of meandering zombies, which are idle for most part, can be exploited strategically to hinder or attack your enemy. Manipulation of the horde is achieved through a selection of secondary items, which allow you to attract zombies to a specific location, frenzy a small number to attack your enemy. The idea, I believe, is that players with different loadouts can synergize to weaponize the dead against their rivals to their advantage. After all, swamping an opponent in undead whilst you shoot at them from range does sound somewhat fun, right? Sadly not, and this is in part to poor design alongside terrible implementation. First up, movement and gunplay is just awful, actually best described as amateur. Everything feels clunky. Movement feels clunky, jumping feels clunky, aiming feels clunky, shooting feels clunky. I think you get the point. Input feels very unresponsive, with a noticeable delay between actions on the controller and their effects appearing on the screen. A large portion of this could be tied to the game's frame rate, which touches on acceptable during quiet moments but slows to a stutter as soon as the game needs to render more than 4 or 5 enemies. The slower the frame rate, the longer the game takes to register your input, an overall frustrating experience. The game also suffers from some balance issues. Weapons feel either over or underpowered. The M4 machine gun seems to cut through enemies with ease, whereas the crossbow suffered from long reload times and fails to deal any real damage when it hits. Most of all though, the game's combat knife, which is the melee weapon, is a one-hit kill. Clunky Controls aside, running close to an opponent and stabbing with a knife is actually one of the game's most successful strategies. One I employed to great success in multiplayer, as did virtually every other player on the server. For a first-person shooter, there is a distinct lack of feedback, in particular when damaging opponents. At several points I shot using the crossbow, and other than the occasional enemy dropping dead, it was impossible to determine if I was actually hitting the enemy or if the game just suffers from poor hitbox detection. I think it might have been a bit of both. In other places, feedback has been so lavishly applied it goes too far the other way. Death causes all the force feedback motors in the controller to spring to life at full power. Rather than immersive, it feels uncomfortable whilst making the controller the most audible thing in the room. Well, apart from when the game crashes and all you can hear is audio loop from the TV. Death also carries another annoyance, an indeterminate wait to respawn. Sometimes you'll be dropped back into the game promptly, other times you have to wait a significant amount of time. At first you assume the delay is whilst the game waits for a quiet moment to drop you back into play, but often I spawned immediately next to an opponent, so what is causing the delay is beyond me. Considering all of the above, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The short tutorial video does nothing to explain the controls or ease the player into the mechanics. I'm still not entirely sure how you replenish ammo or supplies during matches, short of dying, and even playing a private match warned me about kicking other players when I wanted to drop back to the main menu. This game is a mess, feeling so unfinished that it's horrifying that anybody outside of the development studio's 4 walls can actually play it. This feels like a really bad early access title, but unbelievably this is actually a full retail product. Overall, this is one of the most egregious video games that I have ever played. Implementation issues aside, the core gameplay mechanic just hasn't resulted in a fun experience. Zombies feel mostly peripheral, not a core part of strategic play. Player-to-player combat is nearly always resolved by direct battling, and as such it's just a really poor multiplayer shooter that happens to have a few zombies staggering about. Even if the various issues were resolved, I still doubt this would stand tall amongst the wealth of other multiplayer shooter options available. What angers me most is that somebody somewhere looked at this and thought, yeah, that's ready for the public domain. I can't personally understand how anyone could think like that, nor how they would be happy to attach their name to anything at this quality level. It's distinctly lacking any sense of pride in one's work, and sadly stands as a monument to just how low the quality bar lies for publishing a game to console these days. As it stands, this game just isn't worth your time. With significant reworking, there is perhaps something worth exploring in the idea of a game that sees you strategically make use of a neutral force to the detriment of an opponent, but this isn't it. As such, I award this game 1 star.
BXB. It's in the game.